training session, and most of it is self-explanatory. You can either dial in or you can listen from your laptop speakers. And for the materials, I'll be using Dropbox to share the materials. Okay, so I'll mute everyone. If you have any question, you can just send me a chat to unmute you, and I'll unmute you immediately. Okay, and from tomorrow what I will do is like after every class we'll just take a test on the previous day's topics, so it will just give you a gauge on how you're doing and how your preparation is. So you can do the tests also from right here, and you'll also see the chat at the bottom. So if you have anything, you can either send me a private text to me, to the organizer, or if you think that is useful to everyone, you can just send a open chat. So either way is fine, or if you want, if you just send me a request to unmute you, I'll unmute you, and we can discuss. Okay, so today we'll be doing a high level overview of what SAP in general is, and what are we going to do over the next 5 to 6 weeks, and what are the different topics that we are going to cover. Okay, what are the different topics that we are going to cover, and what will be the plan for the next what will be the plan for the next 5 to 6 weeks? Okay, so first I'll also send you this PowerPoint after we are done with the class. So first, SAP, as you all know, is an ERP system that controls all the different business areas in a company. So it has some predefined processes that help us to run the company, right from procurement to sales to HR to whatnot, whatever that you see in a company and whatever you can think of, SAP has a solution for that. Okay. So as SAP started way back in 1972, recently SAP actually celebrated its 40 years of existence. Okay, it was started in 1972 by a group of engineers, and the full form is System Application Products. So I don't want to spend much time on these. You can even Google it and look up in Wikipedia, but just wanted to give you an overview. For I know some of you are completely new to SAP, so I just wanted to give a perspective of what SAP is and what you're getting into. Okay, so as you can see, 80% of the Fortune 500 companies, they run an SAP, so it's a huge install base. Okay, these are the latest releases. Like R3 is 1992. This is R3 is a landmark product. There were versions before R3, R1, R2. But SAP R3 was the one which gained wider acceptance, and actually this was the version from which a number of North American implementations started. So SAP market in North America, it started in early 1990s with the introduction of R3, and before that in 1980s it was mainly limited to European and some German clients. Okay, so R3 is a very successful product, and 92, 93, and the 4.7 is also one landmark product. And ECC 5, it came out in it's 2005, and ECC 6, whenever people say ECC, so it's Enterprise Central Component. Okay, ECC 6 is the current version. It came out in 2006, and as SAP, this is the latest version, and even SAP doesn't have any plans as of now to come up with a newer version. So what they are doing now is they are just releasing some enhancement packs. So now the SAP strategy is now they have all the core component built in. So now they are building new dimensional products like SAP CRM, SAP SRM, SAP CRM is customer relation management, SRM is supply relation management, SCM is supply chain management, Okay, so I'll just list down some of the new dimension products that SAP is coming with. Okay, you have a core ECC product. Okay, this ECC product is is communicated with SAP SCM, which is supply chain management, SAP SRM supply relation management, SAP PLM product life cycle management. Okay, so these are all the different products that SAP is building. So instead of all the new functions and all the advanced functions will be in one of these products. Okay, but again, not every client uses these new dimensional products. Okay, there are some SAP shops who do all these, but most of the companies, I would say every company will have that uses SAP will have ECC installed, and depending on the client and their requirements, and companies who just want to go into a single vendor versus best of breed model, so they generally use all the new dimension products. Okay, for example, the reason is theoretically speaking, like there is a for demand planning and forecasting, I2 is a very good product. Manugistics, I2, those are very good products. Okay, and SAP SEM is it's still not up to that mark. Okay, but there are some companies who just want to go to a single vendor instead of having multiple vendors and trying to write huge interfaces and all the cost of ownership and everything. So that's the reason some companies they use SAP for all their applications, so that they don't have to worry about the integration, the more points of failures and everything. Okay, so what we will be discussing is R3 ECC. So R3 is nothing but I'll come to the definition of R3 again in just a bit. Okay, R3 and ECC are the same. It's the same system. Okay, these are the different modules that you see in ECC. So SD is the one that we are going to talk about, and then you see material management. Okay, material management is primarily used for all the procurement related functions. Okay, production planning is for all the manufacturing. So all these comprise of logistics. Okay, generally in the market, logistics is considered to be SAP logistics is considered to be the real strength of SAP. Okay, there is no product that's as integrated as SAP is. Okay, and again, financials is also SAP is very strong. The integration between logistics and financials is the strength of SAP ERP system. Okay, so as you will see when we discuss the sales and distribution, the integration, like once you create an invoice, how it's reflected in finance. Okay, once you release an invoice, how it's impacted in finance, and once you create a sales order, what are the different integrations that happen in what are the different integrations that can happen in PP. Okay, so I would say the one of the important strength of SAP is its integration with all the different modules. Okay, not just within R3, but also within like the new dimensional products that I'm talking about. Okay, you create, okay, I missed CRM here. Okay, you create a quotation in CRM that will be reflected in ECC real. If you want to do it, you can make it do it real time. Okay, so all the end-to-end applications, so they are all completely integrated. Okay, and these are quality management, plant maintenance, HR. These are other areas of SAP, and there are some more modules in ECC itself, like warehouse management. That's not here. Okay, so warehouse management is also part of logistics, and in industry solutions is now what SAP is doing is it's coming up with a industry specific solution. Okay, because a single template of SAP will not work, and clients are complaining that they have to do a lot of customization to meet their industry specific needs. Okay, so what SAP is doing is they are coming up with industry solutions. Okay, SAP retail is SAP system that's tailored to retailers. Okay, and banking, SAP banking is a system that's specific to banking. SAP insurance, Okay, like SAP wholesale distribution, SAP food industry. So if you just go to help.sap.com on industry solutions, you'll see a bunch of industry solutions that SAP is providing, so that the clients, they don't need to take a base ECC system and they don't need to customize it. Okay, they already have a base that is specifically designed for their business model. Okay, and industry solutions and AFS, apparel and footwear services, all the big apparel and footwear services that you can think of, like Nike, Tommy Hilfiger, Ann Taylor, Armani, all those guys use SAP AFS and SAP retail. All the bigger retailers like Target, Brookshire, even Nike uses SAP retail. Adidas uses SAP retail. Okay, I think Walmart is not using it, and Kroger uses SAP retail. Okay, so all the bigger companies that you can generally see, all those run on as SAP retail. And all these are the financial related modules, FICO as people call it, financial accounting and controlling, asset management, project systems, okay, workflow. All these these sit on the ABAP layer. Okay, we'll just come to the actual SAP architecture. Okay, this is how the SAP ERP data flows. Okay, so quote to cash is nothing but your sales and distribution. So okay, people call it by different names. Some call it order to cash. Okay, order to cash is nothing but it's a business process from the point of ordering to collecting the cash from the customer. Okay, that's why people call it order to cash. Some people call it quote to cash. Okay, quote to cash is nothing but from the point where you receive a quote from your customer to the point where you are actually getting the cash from the customer. Okay, that whole business process is called as Q2C or OTC or sales and distribution. Okay, so even in your job requirements, you will see SAP OTC. OTC means sales and distribution. Okay, similarly PTP is plan to procure, which is nothing but the production process. Okay, PP, production process. And requisition to check, R2C is nothing but the material management concepts. Okay, these are in the last 5-6 years actually SAP came up with these names. Instead of calling by actual module, they are calling by a business process. Okay, this whole thing is a business process, right from where you get a quote from your customer. Okay, quote is nothing but it's just a high level estimate. Okay, then you create a sales order in your system, and then you do delivery, okay, billing, and then the customer payment. This whole process is quote to cash or order to cash. SAP is actually recommending these names, but as you know, the module names are entrenched in the consultants and with the client, so people still use the same old names. And if you see the data flow here, so once you create a sales order, okay, you have to plan for the demand, you have to meet the demand. Okay, so that's how it's integrated with the PP, plan to procure module. Okay, we are going to do in very detailed. This is like a 10,000 foot level, a very high level overview of the data flow. Okay, once you know the requirement, then you have to procure the materials for all your requirements. Okay, so that's where it integrates with MM for the procurement part. Okay, you create a purchase order, you get the goods from your vendor. Okay, and then you pay the vendor, and these goods will be used in PP to manufacture, and once these goods are manufactured, then you actually deliver it to your customer. Okay, this is a very high level data flow. And your financial and logistics reporting, cost controlling, everything, it encompasses all this business process. And business warehouses, BI, you know, a lot of other BI tools. SAP has its own BI tool, people call it BW, now SAP is calling it BI. Okay, this BI is used for running there are SAP provides standard extractors for all the general business process. So all the data is extracted to BI, and you can do reporting, everything in BI system. Okay, I'm just unmuting, so if you have any question, feel free to ask, or you can even type in the chat window. Okay, so if anyone of you wants to talk, just send me a request on the chat. Okay, so generally what we'll be doing is I'll be doing about 40 hours of training. Actually, the training part is the easier in the whole thing. So for you to practice, it takes a lot of time, at least like double or triple the time that we spend in that session. Okay, I'll generally emphasize on the business process, not just on configuring the tables. Okay, I don't even recommend like remembering all the transaction codes. Just remember the process, and also if you know the path, then you will be able to navigate through it easily. Okay, and I'll cover and again I'll be forthright here. I'm not going to go into the complete details of rebates, EDI, ALE, but I'm going to give you an overview that's going to help you. Like this EDI, ALE, variant configuration, they are a module of their own. Okay, so we will not be covering like end to end of these modules, but I'll just give you a high level overview that's going to help you in the interview. So the reason why I'll be covering this, I'll come back to it later. Okay, and this is what you can expect or out of the session. And what will be what should you be doing? So you should be ready to spend. So I recommend, if you don't have enough time, you should be able to spend at least 10 hours a week after we do the classes on the weekends. Okay, so if you have other commitments, or make sure that you don't have any other commitments at this time, because like 2 hours a day is a significant time if you're already working full time. Okay, and this is the SAP architecture, and I'll come to this in a bit. SAP has at a high level, SAP has 3 different layers. One is the presentation layer, application layer, and database layer. You might know, like if you're working on other systems, it's a client server architecture, that kind of thing, but SAP has 3 layers. Okay, SAP has 3 layers. One is the presentation layer, application layer, and database layer. Okay, presentation layer is the actual GUI from which we'll be logging in. Okay, so I'll come to this in a bit. So presentation layer is nothing but the application that everyone uses from their laptops or desktops to log in. Okay, so I unmuted you. Please go ahead with your question. Yes, yes. SD is used by everyone, like every business. Even if someone is using IS retail, they'll be using SD. Each and every business, like wholesale distribution, food industry, like AFS, every industry uses SD, because SD is like component of ECC itself. So I would say generally every client that I observed, they first do SAP FI. Okay, once FI is done, and the second preference that they'll be giving is to sales and distribution. Okay, because sales and distribution, it deals with customers and products. Okay, every company, whatever their business line is, they have to sell something, right? And they'll have some customers that they have to sell to. So every business, SD is applicable to almost every business unit or every business function. Yeah. Generally, how that works is they'll have a ECC component, and then they'll have another box with IS retail that is specifically used for retail functions. Okay, but ECC will be there, and along with ECC they'll have a IS retail system. Similarly, if companies use AFS, they'll have a ECC system and they'll also have a AFS system. Okay, because IS retail, it cannot it's limited to only retail specific functions, so it doesn't have all the core components that a regular ECC system has. Yeah. Okay, so these are the three different components: presentation layer, application layer, and database layer. And presentation layer is the think of the layer from which we will be logging in. Okay, using the logon pad, which I'll elaborate on it a bit later. So this is the point from which we will all be logging in. And application layer is the ABAP layer where SAP runs the programs and it actually communicates with the database layer. Okay, database layer is your regular database, like people use Oracle, MySQL, anything. Okay, and one thing is compared to other systems, we will not be directly interacting with the database. Even SAP recommends not messing up with the database. You don't write directly a select statement at the database level. You cannot go into database layer and delete it. Okay, all the functions that you do will be at the application layer. You submit everything to the application layer and it's going to take care of all the database related functions. Okay, say you want to delete some data from a table. You don't directly go into the Oracle database and write a SQL statement and delete it or change or update, do anything. Okay, everything will be done at the application layer. And so basically if you want to do something of that sort, you write a program in application layer and you submit it. So the application layer is going to control the interactions with the database layer. Okay, that's a bit different from how the other systems work. Okay, so this is the architecture. So here you see all the modules and ABAP, Advanced Business Application Programming. Okay, ABAP is Advanced Business Okay, ABAP is the programming on which all the SAP programs are written. It's the programming language. It's a very high level program language. Looking at it, you can even understand what they are trying to do. So it's very understandable. And one of the things that we'll be trying to do is we'll try to debug the program. I'll show how to debug an ABAP program. And as a functional consultant, SD is primarily a functional area in SAP. As a functional consultant, you will not be expected to know ABAP or even debug an ABAP program also. They won't expect you, but it's very, very advantageous to learn. It's very advantageous if you know how to write a basic ABAP program, and or at least if you know how to debug a program, it's a very big plus. Okay, so I'll just show you how you can debug a program. Okay, the reason why it's good to know how to debug a program is say something is not working, you are not able to create a sales order, or you're getting some sort of error when you're trying to run a program. Okay, so if you at least know how to debug the program, then you can know the source of that error. Okay, otherwise again you have to go to an ABAPer, a programmer, and ask him, hey man, I'm getting some issues, so can you please check it out. Okay, instead of that, if you at least know how to debug it, even if you don't know to correct it, if you know how to debug it, you can find the source of the error. Okay, and you don't need to know how to write the program these days. Even if you want to write the ABAP programming here on site, they won't allow you to do it. Okay, so generally functional consultants are paid more, a lot more than ABAP, and most of the ABAP these days is now done offshore. Okay, so even if you want to write, even if you're interested in programming and if you want to write a couple of programs, most of the times client will say don't worry about writing a program, send it to offshore or just get the help from your ABAPer. Okay, but knowing it, like as I told, it is very helpful. Okay, and that is something, again, even if you don't learn it now, so but as you work in SAP, okay, you'll just know all the ABAP transactions and how you have to look up a program related to a particular business process. Okay, you will know all that with experience, even though you don't really learn ABAP. Okay, and ABAP is the programming, and basis is the actual stack on which the whole SAP sits. Okay, all the administrative functions are done at the basis level. Say again, basis is a different skill set in SAP. It's kind of a database admin. Okay, SAP admin team is the basis team. Say you want to create your user IDs. Okay, you, for some reason this happens very frequently, you lock up your password. Okay, or you want access to some other transactions. Okay, all those the basis team is going to control it. Okay, so this is the SAP architecture. So you have presentation servers, which is nothing but all the front ends. Okay, this is the front end that I'm talking about. So all the front ends are your presentation servers, and all these connect to application server. Okay, and again, just to illustrate the point, all the program execution is done at the application server. Nothing happens internally in your system. Okay, this is just a front end that presents and sends the data. Okay, just displays the data. Or once you enter something, everything is sent to the application server, and all the programs sit at the application server, and these programs, they execute if they want to get any data. So they get the data from the database server and again run the program, and once everything is done, they again present it to the presentation layer. Okay, so you don't have any data or anything in your laptop sitting internally. You always connect to the server. Okay, that's true of any SAP installation. Okay, so, and coming to the navigation, what I'll do is I'll be sending you a link to install this SAP GUI. Okay, I'll be sending a link to install SAP GUI 7.2.720. And once you download it, okay, I'll also send you, it's basically an exe file if you're doing Windows. I don't know if anyone of you are using Mac. That's a special procedure for Mac. So if you're trying to install it for Mac, just send me an email. But for Windows, I'll send you the path where an exe file is. You just execute it. Okay, once you execute it, you will actually see this screen which is blank. You won't see this entry here. Okay, what you have to do is first you click on the new entry. Okay, once you get this logon pad, okay, you first you click on the new entry. And then you just click on next. I'll also send a video of it, but just giving you an overview of how to do it. Click on next, and I'm going to send you the application server, which is the IP address. Okay, I'll send you the application server, the instance number, and the system ID. Okay, these three you will receive in an email. Once you enter it, you just need to click on finish, and then you will see an entry that's added here. Okay, so these are the details that you will be getting. You will be getting the IP address from me, the instance number, and the system ID. This description you can enter anything. Okay, it doesn't matter. And these three are important for connecting, and I'll be sending you the details for this. Okay, so once you do that, then you are able to add that server. Okay, so now just double click on it and it will open up. and this is how you actually log in. So this is your presentation layer. Okay, this is how you are actually logging into the system. Okay, and again you will receive I already requested some user IDs, so for all those who are already enrolled, so you will be getting user IDs by today evening or tomorrow. So I'll be giving the user ID and password for this. So once you get that, you log into SAP. Okay, so this is how you actually install it, and you'll be able to log in. Okay, and so in SAP is nothing but, like as I told, you should take sales and distribution, which will come to it again. So some of the processes that you see are like creating a customer. Okay, creating a customer. Customer is someone who, it's self-explanatory, right? So it's someone who you actually do business with. Okay, so SAP has a transaction code. If you know the transaction code, which you'll remember most of the transaction codes as you work along in the system, you can enter the transaction code here, or okay, you can just go through the path here. So this is the path that has all the different transactions. Okay, like as I told, SD is part of logistics. Okay, so for now, don't worry about this path and everything. So when we discuss each of these, we'll again come to all this. Okay, so for now I just want to create a customer. Okay, so you just create a customer, and this is the place where you actually create a customer. So but the point of this is, I don't want you to remember all these things at the time, but the point that I want to make is you can navigate through the system either through a transaction code or through a menu. Okay, so this is how you can both the ways take you to the same screen. Okay, business transaction can be accessed by the menu or directly the transaction code. Okay, so similarly again this is another transaction code. So for now, like as I told, don't worry about what these transaction codes are. Okay, so if you want to come to the home screen again, okay, you need to type /n in the transaction code in the in the transaction code area here. So now you type /n, so it will take you to the home screen. Okay, /n takes you to the home screen. Okay, so now you see I only have one instance open. Say I want to say I'm trying to do something here. Okay, and again I want to do some other thing in a different screen. I don't want to open in this different screen. I want to open a new screen. Okay, then what you do is you type /o. So, say I will go to a different one. So when I type /o, when I prefix a transaction code by /o, it opens in a new session. Okay, now let's see. Okay, now if you see, you are seeing two sessions. Okay, prefixing a transaction by /o opens in a new screen. Okay, and one other thing is you can open a maximum of six sessions. Okay, user can open a maximum of 6 sessions. Okay, if you see, if you just go on opening, okay, again if you just click here, it will give you the history of all the transactions that we have been doing. Okay, so now as soon as I open the 6, it will give you a message saying that you have reached the maximum number of sessions. Okay, and say I'm in the screen and I want to find out the transaction code for it. Okay, you can either open it here, okay, which will give you the transaction code, your user ID that you're using to log in and all that stuff. Okay, or you can go to system status to find out the transaction code. Okay, the transaction code can be found by going to system status in the menu bar. Venkat, go ahead with your question. Yeah, sure. It's a good question. So for all the common business applications, SAP predefines transaction codes. Okay, so I'll just show it to you. SAP, say for example, if you want to create a create a custom one, generally you prefix it with by Z. Okay, so ZV underscore. If you want to do something, so you can always do it. You can create a custom transaction code in ABAP, and you create a custom transaction code and you assign a program to it. Okay, this is done in ABAP. So you then once I enter that ZVSS underscore 001, if it's there, so then it will open that new transaction. Okay, this has to be, yeah. No, generally all the transactions that we are seeing, they are more from a functional side, and for ABAP side there are different programs that you use for like writing ABAP programs and defining tables. Okay, all those are different transaction codes. Okay, so the way how it works is I'll come to it in the ASAP methodology. So the way how it works is, first as a functional consultant, you have to know the system and you have to know the standard features that are available in the system. And if say the client needs something, they want to add a custom field in a sales order. Okay, they want to add something custom. So that's where the ABAP guy comes in. So then you have to write a functional specification saying that, hey, I need something to be added at this place. So you write a functional specification giving him the functional requirement. Okay, then the ABAPer, he'll write a program to accommodate that requirement. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Venkat. Okay, so if you want to create Z transaction codes, that's possible, and you see it very often in all the clients that you work in. Okay, so if you want to create a Z transaction code, there's a ABAP process for it. So they actually write a custom program, and then they assign the Z transaction code to that. So once you do that assignment, if you type that in here, it will work. Okay, so say I'm in different screen. For now, don't worry about what transaction code is what. Okay, I'm in some screen, and in the same screen I want to open a different transaction code. Okay, in the same screen, if I want to open something, you prefix it with /n. Okay, if you just type /n, it will take you to the home screen. Okay, if you prefix a transaction code by /n, it will open up in the same screen. So now if I type /n, so it will open in the same screen. Whereas if I type /o, okay, it will open in a new screen. Okay, prefixing similarly the same thing, prefixing a transaction code by /n opens in the same screen. Okay, I'm just trying to show all the transaction codes. Okay, so now if you see, all these are standard SAP transaction codes. Okay, the rule of thumb is if a transaction starts with Z or Y, okay, that's a custom transaction code. Okay, all the custom Bala, there might be like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of it. So I can give you a table in which all these transaction codes are stored. Okay, because the transaction codes they are for like different applications, right? So if you see here, this is this is SD, production, plant maintenance, customer service, project systems, and then these are all just related to logistics. Then you go to accounting. Okay, you see a bunch of transaction codes here. Okay, then you go to HR. And again, you don't need to, like as I told earlier, it's not even recommended that you remember each and every transaction code. Okay, the way how I stress also is to try to remember the path. Okay, but as you work along, you will definitely, even if you don't want to remember, you will remember some transaction codes. Okay, for example, after like our third session, you will remember customer master is VD01. Okay, after our fourth or fifth session, you will know sales order is VA01. Okay, so those common transaction codes, you will be remembering those, but don't try to remember like what is flag for deletion, at least initially. Don't try to like by heart or just remember all these transaction codes. Just remember the path. Okay, if I want to do something related to a customer, so this is where I have to go. Okay, at this point, try to remember that. So even in your project, even if you don't remember it, you always know where to go and look up for. Okay, all the custom transactions start with Y or Z. Okay, this is customer reserved namespace, and this is protected during upgrades. Okay, there's a reason why SAP asks you to write all your transactions or your programs or your tables. Okay, all that SAP recommends naming all the custom programs, tables and transaction codes with Z or Y. Okay, so generally in your projects you hear Z table, Z table. Z table is nothing but your custom table. Okay, instead of the SAP standard table, it's a custom table that's defined by the client. Okay, similarly Z transaction code or a Z program are something that are written ground up from by your client. It's not something that SAP delivered as a part of its. It's not something that SAP delivered out of the box. Okay, the reason why again SAP asks you to name these transactions with prefix these transactions with Y or Z is that whenever you do an upgrade, SAP will not touch all of the objects that are named with Y or Z. Okay, it doesn't override those objects. Okay, so and SAP can differentiate because you are prefixing those with Y or Z. So SAP can differentiate what are the standard objects that SAP delivered and what are the objects that you have changed or you have created on your own. Okay, so that's the reason why you prefix it with Y or Z. Okay, then we discussed in installing GUI. Okay, and the system that we are going to use is called the IDAS system. So this is a system that SAP gives for practice purposes, for training and evaluation purposes. Okay, and the good thing about the IDAS system is it gives you a lot of data for practicing. Okay, it gives you a lot of configuration, it gives you a lot of customer data, a lot of master data and transactional data for the practice purposes. Okay, in your projects, if you say if you are trying to implement SAP, okay, you will not find all the data that you find in an IDAS system. You will find the standard configuration, okay, but you will not find all the test data that IDAS gives. So this IDAS, it cannot be used as a real production system. Okay, this is just used for training purposes. Okay, and some of the best practices as you use this, like as I told, always name your custom objects with Z. Always prefix them with Z. And never change the SAP delivered objects. This is not just a best practice with IDAS, but even in your projects, the next 2 points they hold good even in your projects. Okay, never change anything that's delivered by SAP. I mean, again, SAP even doesn't allow you to change it. So if you want to change something that's part of a standard program, okay, you have to get an access key from SAP. You have to register the change that you're making, and you have to get an access key from SAP to make a change. And these are again, these changes will not be done by a functional consultant, the functional consultant. It will be done by an ABAPer, but I'm just giving you for your information. Okay, so we'll come to that again. And again, this is important as a functional consultant. Never try to delete an existing configuration. Okay, if you want to do something, copy it and make changes to it. Okay, but never try to delete or make changes to an existing configuration. Again, this holds true in your IDAS system also. Don't try to delete standard configurations, or don't try to change it. If you want to use it, copy it, save as a new one, and then make changes to it, so that no one else will be affected by it. Okay, so this IDAS system, actually I got it refreshed I think 4 or 5 days back. Okay, it's almost like a fresh system. Okay, I think in the last batch I had a couple of instances wherein people deleted all the some of the, not all, but some of the SAP delivered pricing procedures and those stuff. So that's why I had to get it refreshed. So if you have any questions before making any of these changes, send me an email, so then I can tell you if that's the good approach, or if I can recommend you other options. Okay, but copying it and using it is absolutely fine. You can copy it as many times as you want, rename it, and then use it. Okay, Okay, so and coming to the job prospects in SAP in general and SD in particular. Okay, as you know, okay, as you know, SAP market is very competitive, and obviously even when you talk about any module in SAP, there will be a lot of consultants. Okay, you should have a niche or a differentiating skill when you compare yourself to the other consultants, right? So otherwise you should basically have a leg up compared to others. Okay, so that's why I recommend learning along with SD, which is your core expertise. I recommend learning one of the I mean, I don't recommend SAP retail unless you have a lot of time and you want to spend more time and effort on it. Because SAP retail is a different module in itself, but ALE, EDI, rebates, variant configuration, all these are kind of add-on modules to SAP. To SD. So if you can just learn it, at least the basics, and know what ALE is, what EDI is, and how SAP rebates are used. At least one of these. You don't need to learn all. So you can market yourself as a, say, SD EDI consultant, which is a different skill set when compared to SAP SD. Okay, so there will be, even if you look up on DICE, there will be separate jobs for SD EDI. Okay, so similarly SD rebates, and similarly SD VC, variant configuration. People call it VC. So again, VC is a niche skill set that not lot many SD consultants know VC, or they don't know EDI. Okay, so what in this session, what I'll do is, like as I told earlier, I'm not going to go into complete details of ALE, EDI, rebates, and variant configuration. I'm just going to provide a high level overview of what EDI is, and what rebates is, and what variant configuration is. And later, if you need, say you got a project which is more into EDI, okay, then if you need, then I can elaborate it. The reason why I won't cover completely in this session is it is basically overwhelming. Already SD is a huge topic, so I don't want to overwhelm with a lot of other new topics. Okay, first have a solid footing in SD, and then try to learn EDI, and then try to extend your skill set. Okay, and again, that's something like a lot of people ask me. So okay, it's an evolving process. You go into your first project as an SD consultant. Okay, then if you want to increase your job span, or increase your, obviously your billing rate, you should learn one or more of these subtopics. And obviously I didn't list all of them. Okay, like SAP AFS, apparel and footwear. And again, in IS retail is a very big thing. So here SAP IS retail SD, sales and distribution, that's specific to IS retail. Similarly, again, sales and distribution specific to AFS. Okay, so as you go along, so you have to update your skill set along with your core expertise in SD. If you learn some of these, then it's going to really help you, and it's going to make you more marketable. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'll unmute you. And again, you can even look up in job portals and see how is the job market. And generally, I would say from mid last year, the market has been really good. Okay, and one reason is like as I told, if you go to the versions here, okay, a lot of clients are still on 4.7. okay, 4.7 is a very huge successful product, and a lot of clients even today are using 4.7. okay, and SAP now is stopping support. Actually, they told that they are going to stop support, I think last year or sometime, but so they are asking all the clients to upgrade to ECC. okay, and a lot of clients, they are not happy, and at the time there was a different CEO who didn't even who was very stern on asking all the customers to upgrade to ECC. So eventually SAP had to adhere to the customer demands, and I think end of this year they're going to stop supporting 4.7. So that's why these days you're seeing a lot of upgrade projects. Okay, people are upgrading, all the clients are upgrading from 4.7 to ECC. Okay, so assuming have no questions, I'll move on. Okay, now say a company or client is installing SAP, and the SAP recommends this ASAP methodology for implementing an SAP project. Okay, ASAP methodology. Okay, ASAP methodology is the SAP recommended approach for implementing SAP or implementing or running SAP projects. Okay, this is nothing but your I think most of you have a software development life cycle experience, so it is nothing but an SDLC cycle, but this is more geared towards the SAP projects. Okay, there are 5 phases in even in interviews. People will ask you what are the different steps in ASAP methodology. Okay, maybe till now what we have discussed, no one is going to ask you what an IDAS is, and what is this GUI, or what is this 3-layer architecture. As a functional consultant, most of the you'll never see those questions in an interview, but I have seen more than once where people ask what are the different steps in an ASAP methodology. Yeah, if a company is upgrading to ECC, so as an SD consultant, you are responsible for like the whole upgrade part. Okay, generally when companies upgrade, they just don't. There are 2 types of upgrades. Okay, so I'll just elaborate on the upgrading procedure. SAP upgrades. Okay, so there are 2 types, 2 methodologies in which a client can upgrade. The first is a technical upgrade. Okay, technical upgrade, and the second is a functional upgrade. Technical upgrade is nothing but in a technical upgrade, as an SD consultant, you will not have much. You will have some work, but not much. In a technical upgrade, the client is just going to in order to just upgrade, because SAP is stopping the support, they will upgrade to the newer version ECC, but they will not use any of the new features or new functionalities that are in the new version. Okay, they will still use all the processes that you are using in 4.7, but they just run all those new processes on ECC 6. They will upgrade to ECC 6 and they will still run the same old processes. Say an example. Okay, they developed a custom program in 4.7. Okay, custom program is developed in 4.7 for a customer sales report. I'm just bringing up something. Okay, you developed a custom program, but in ECC 6, a standard SAP report is available for the same functionality. Okay, in a technical upgrade, I'm talking strictly about a technical upgrade. People don't even look or research into the new features that are available in the newer version, but they just run everything, all the 4.7 features, they just run everything on an ECC 6. Okay, in that case it's more of a basis work, where basis I mean is again the admin team. Okay, the SAP admin team, so they run all the upgrades, they do all the upgrade and put everything on a new box, and they run some basic testing, which you as an SD consultant will be part of, and then it's good to go. Okay, but whereas in a functional upgrade, okay, so if you're doing a functional upgrade, the client will ask for someone who has worked on ECC6. Okay, the reason why is because they want you to recommend all the new features or new functionalities that are available in ECC6. Okay, so yeah, as a functional consultant now, your role is to review all the current processes that they are doing in the older version. Okay, I'm just naming 4.7, it might be even 3.0 or anything. Okay, you need to review all the business processes in the older version and recommend and implement everything in the newer version. So it's kind of a re-engineering project. Functional upgrade is a re-engineering project. Okay, you look at everything and see what are the fits in the new process and what are the gaps. Okay, so that there as a functional consultant, you will be doing everything. You have to recommend to the client, hey, this new function is already pre-built in the newer version, so why not use this rather than the custom program that we have been using till now. Okay, so that is a role that you'll be playing in a functional upgrade. And obviously again, in both functional and technical upgrade, you'll have a team of developers who will be helping you out with any custom development that's needed. Okay. Hey Venu, I'm unmuting you, so if you have any questions, go ahead. With the standard one, yeah, so yeah, technically yes, but here I'm just giving an example here. So if a client wants to do a strictly a technical upgrade, okay, in a technical upgrade, the client even they might not be interested in reviewing the new features that are available in the newer version. Okay, they will be still using the custom program even in the ECC6. Okay, but when you talk about a functional upgrade, the client will research everything that's available in the newer version, and they'll try to remove as many custom programs as possible. They'll try to move everything to a standard new functionality that's available as a part of the standard package. Okay, and this is again like as I told, that's the reason why you always name with your programs with Z and Y. And the basis guys they'll run a report in the system before upgrading, which will tell, hey, these are the custom objects that might have an issue. So you as a functional consultant will again have to check if there are any. Basically, that basis report will give you if there are any inconsistencies that you're going to see once you upgrade the system. Okay, that's a very brief discussion about the SAP upgrades. Yeah, so as a new functional consultant, I'm going to come to it again, but I always recommend going into a support project or an enhancement related project. Never go into a implementation project. Okay, implementation projects are considered to be like the challenging ones, and when I discuss this SAP methodology, so I am going to discuss all the roles that as a functional consultant you will be having. Okay, so we'll discuss this again after we're done with the SAP methodology. Okay, so and now coming to the different phases. The first phase is the project preparation phase. The first is the project preparation. Project preparation is wherein you actually set the initial project goals. Okay, what am I what this is more at the client decides. Okay, end of this project, this is what I want to do, and this is my ROI that I am expecting. And if you're talking about implementation projects, so generally the management will think these are the number of people that I can, since I'm automating a lot of stuff using SAP, so these are the number of this is the number of headcount that I can reduce. Okay, so generally every project, it will have a goal, an end goal. What is it that they are trying to achieve? And in the project preparation phase, generally you as a function consultant, you will not be even there in the project preparation. It's more at an executive level. Okay, the project sponsors, both from the business side and from the IT side, and if a system integrator is a term that's used for the implementation partners like IBM, Capgemini, Deloitte, Accenture. Okay, those are called the system integrators. So they will the higher level people, partners and executives, they will be there, and they'll check out an implementation strategy and the high level schedule, the team. Okay, what are all the different roles that we are going to need it. These are the number of SD consultants that we need. These are the number of PP consultants that we need. Okay, these are the number of ABAP developers and on-site that will be needed. These are the number of ABAP developers offshore that will be needed. Okay, so very high level project planning. Okay, generally in this phase, maybe a project manager who is going to lead the project will be there, and then, like as I told, there will be executive managers from both the client side and the system integrator side. Okay, the next step is the business blueprint. So this is where, as a functional consultant, you will be coming in. Okay, the next is the business blueprint. So you know about the blueprint. So blueprint is like the the most critical part of a project, where you define what is the scope of the project. Okay, you define a higher level scope. A company will have a lot of business functions. So a scope might be something like, for now I want to only do finance and sales and distribution, and even in sales and distribution I only want to do only for some particular businesses. Okay, company might have different business units internally again. Okay, so I only want to do for this business unit to start with. Okay, that is your scope. And then in the business blueprint, the important thing that you as a functional consultant will be doing is, so generally I'll also write the ownership and the key participants. Okay, the key participant in a project preparation phase is the executives. The business blueprint is the functional leads will be the key participants in the blueprinting phase. Okay, now in the blueprinting phase, you as a functional consultant, first you have to do a as is analysis. Okay, so as is analysis is nothing but the current studying the client's current business process. Okay, next you have to do a to be. So you have to create a to be methodology. So once the client goes live with SAP, so this is how their new process is going to be executed. Okay, to be is the future state, and as is the current process, and to be is the future state. And then you as a functional consultant will have to do a very high level gap analysis. Okay, so once you know the future state, and again that's what I'll come back to. So when you're doing blueprinting, you should have very good expertise of SAP SD. You should know the system in and out, what is possible using the standard system, and what are the things that you need to write a custom program, or write something, do some development. Okay, so that's where your SD expertise comes in, when you do the gap analysis. Okay, this gap analysis identifies all the custom developments that will be needed. Okay, so that's what you will be doing in a blueprint. You will study the client's current business process and you will be recommending a future state process. And once you know the future state process, once you get a sign off from the client about the future state process, you do a gap analysis. Okay, this is what the standard SAP system supports, and these are all the custom development that we have to do to make to make or to mold SAP to your business requirements. Okay, so obviously every client they will be doing a lot of custom development. Okay, so at this point it's very high level. Okay, you won't even go into what are the number of hours that's required for each. You won't go into an object level. You will at a high level for a sales order enhancement. These are the gaps that we identified, and these are the complexity and priority. Generally people group it at this stage by complexity and the priority. Okay, so once blueprint is done, you go into the realization phase. Okay, realization phase, again here also the key participant is functional lead and ABAP developer. Okay, realization phase is nothing but where you actually do the initial configuration. Okay, so in configuration people call baseline configuration. So maybe when you talk to your friend who is working in SAP, so he'll say, hey, in our project our baseline configuration is done. Okay, baseline configuration is nothing but it's the major part of the configuration, the major business process. Okay, so if you take sales and distribution, so maybe the initial sales order flow, right from creating a sales order to delivery to invoice is done, and the returns part is not yet done. But the major part is the actual business process, the sales process. Okay, so that's called the baseline configuration. And during the realization phase, the development also happens. So configuration to meet the client requirements and ABAP development to address the client's custom requirements. Okay, these are some things that you do in the realization phase. Okay, then next is the final preparation where you do the testing. Okay, unit testing, integration testing, UAT, user acceptance testing. Okay, final preparation, and here the key participants will be functional lead and the end users from the business. And then the last thing is the support, and even here it will be functional lead and end users. Okay, the last is the go live and hypercare, which is your support phase. Generally, once a project is implemented, you have to support the system for like 2-3 months depending on how the contract is. Okay, now as you see, a functional guy, he is responsible, except for the project preparation, he is responsible for all the things that happen right from the blueprinting to the support phase. Okay, so and okay, so now if you see here, a functional consultant, he is responsible, you as a functional consultant will be responsible right from blueprinting to a support. So if you're going into your first project without much experience, generally I won't recommend going into a implementation project. Okay, or worst case, if you have to go in an implementation project, always make sure that there is someone. You are not responsible. Basically, the point I want to make is make sure that you are not responsible for the whole blueprinting or for the whole realization. Okay, if you're working with some lead who is well versed with OTC, yeah, that's fine. Because blueprinting, lot of projects fail because blueprinting is not done well, and the reason why blueprinting is not done well is because two things. In some cases, the client is not clear about their requirements, what they want and how they want to do it. Okay, that's one reason. And other reason is the consultant, he is not well equipped to do this to be analysis and the gap analysis. Okay, because if you see here, if you don't know like the full potential of a SD system, okay, so then what, for example, I have seen some blueprints where the consultant, he doesn't know some standard functionality in SD and he recommends gap, he writes all those in a gap analysis and makes the customer to pay for all the custom development. Okay, so as an SD consultant, when you're doing blueprint, you should have a very good idea of all the standard things that can be accomplished using configuration. Okay, always it's better for you and for the client to do as much as possible through configuration. Okay, because once you start custom development, the first thing is SAP doesn't support your custom development. Okay, if there is some issue, you have to figure it on your own. Whereas if you are doing something through configuration, you are still using the standard SAP programs. Okay, but you are just doing the configuration, but you are still using the SAP standard programs. So if something goes wrong, then you can always go back to SAP and say, hey, just I'm using the standard SAP things and this is not working. Okay, but whereas once you go into the custom path, SAP doesn't support all the Z objects. You are on your own. And again, with the custom development, it's not just the amount of dollars that the client has to spend for the development. Okay, say a client spends $10 on development, he has to spend like $2 or $3 every 2-3 years for the maintenance. Okay, so that's why even clients always look, or they prefer consultants who always tries to go through the standard model as possible. Okay, and as a for the first couple of projects, I recommend ideally the support projects are good. Okay, there will be some exclusive support projects, but these days most of the support projects are done by outsourcing companies like Wipro, Infosys. Okay, so those projects are good for learning initially, and otherwise doing any enhancement projects. Okay, so you will also see a lot of enhancement project where a base is already there and the client is trying to extend it to one of their new business units. Okay, or they want to redo some of the existing stuff. Okay, so in those cases you at least have a base to work on. You don't need to like invent the wheel right from the beginning. Okay, so those are some of the projects that I recommend. Okay, so if you have any other questions, just let me know. Yeah, Venkat, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So realization is nothing but okay, now you have a gap analysis. Gap analysis is nothing but the things that cannot be achieved or done using the standard SAP process. Okay, so you have to do some custom development that will be needed to handle those requirements. So in a realization phase, as a functional consultant, you have to do configuration, and then you have to write a functional specification. A functional specification detailing the functional requirement for the custom development. Okay, so you will be writing as a functional consultant. Okay, people call these custom developments as WRICEF or RICEF. They call it by different names. So WRICEF is nothing but W stands for workflow objects. So WRICEF is nothing but a custom object. So in your projects, people call it WRICEF or RICEF, WRICEF. Okay, workflow object, and R is a report, I is an interface, and C is a conversion, E is an enhancement, and F is a form. So these are this is a very high level classification of the custom development that will be needed in any project. Okay, report is nothing but generally in projects, most of the clients, they won't like the standard SAP reports. Okay, they need something that specifically suited for their business. Okay, so you will have to develop a new report. So in your business blueprint, the functional consultant who did the business blueprint, he'll just write a note saying that the client needs a report to handle something, a customer, say the sales by customer. Okay, so he'll just write a requirement on a high level in the gap analysis. So in the realization phase, you have to take that requirement and then you have to write a functional specification. What are all the fields that are needed in the report? Okay, what are all the selection criteria that are needed in the report? And if you have, that's where again, if you have a good technical expertise, that also helps you. You can even write, hey, these are the tables from which I want to pull. And again, that's additional information. Even if you don't write it, that's fine, because taking your functional specification as a reference, a technical guy will write his technical specification. So in this, he'll write the pseudo code and everything, and he will do the coding. Okay, in short, in realization phase, you're going to take all the gaps and you're going to address the gaps. Okay, you address the gaps by writing functional specification and then writing the technical specification, and the ABAPer develops it. Once he develops it, in your final preparation stage, you will be testing it. Okay, this is where you test unit test, quality test, integration test, user acceptance test. So all the testing that you do it here. Okay, also in your realization phase, for all the objects that can be, or processes that can be done through configuration, you will be doing the configuration for those. Okay, and these WRICEF objects are nothing but different types of development objects. Workflow is nothing but say workflow is generally used when you want to do an approval process. Okay, before you create a purchase order. Okay, before you create a purchase order, generally there will be a workflow. Workflow is nothing but generally the business process is even before you send your purchase order to the vendor, it has to be approved by a purchasing manager. That will be a business requirement in most companies, because you don't want your the lower level clerks and everyone to just send out purchase orders, because you eventually have to pay your vendors, right? So what companies have is, before a purchase order is sent out to a vendor, it has to go to the approval from a purchasing manager or whoever is the lead for the purchasing department. So in that case, you can configure that using workflow. As soon as you save the purchase order, a message will go to your high level boss or who that purchasing manager is, that hey, there is a purchase order that's waiting for your approval, and only once he approves it, then you can send that purchase order to the vendor. Okay, that approval process you can do it through workflow. And report is nothing but just a standard report that displays the data in the existing tables. Okay, interface is nothing but it's a connection between multiple systems. Say for example, a client is using a third party system for all the material management stuff. A client is using third party system, or say for demand planning the client is using I2. Okay, you have to get all the data from that third party system into SAP. So in those cases you write interfaces. Okay, again, interfaces are not something that will be delivered by SAP, right? So depending on your requirement, you have to write that interface. So in the gap analysis, what they will be writing is an interface is needed from I2 into SAP. So that's what a requirement that they will be identifying in the gap analysis. So in the realization phase, you have to take that and you have to get all the requirements. What is all the data that comes from I2, and what are the tables, and what are all the tables into which you should populate the data that comes from I2. Okay, so all those details you write in the functional spec, and in the technical spec the developer will write all the development related stuff. Okay, conversions is something that you use in the implementation projects. Initially, say the client is using JD Edwards till that point and they are moving to SAP. Okay, all the data that they have in the system till that point, it has to be moved into SAP, right? All the customers that they have, all the vendors that they have, all the materials that they have, all the pricing that they have, everything has to be moved into the new system. Okay, so that is called conversion. One time movement of the data from the legacy system into SAP is a conversion object. Okay, enhancement is nothing but an SAP functionality is there. Okay, for example, take an example of a sales order. An SAP sales order is there and you want to add some additional fields to it. Okay, that is enhancement. You are just enhancing an standard SAP object. So that is called an enhancement. Okay, form is nothing but it's a printout. Say when you create an order, you create an invoice. Okay, and you want a copy of that invoice. Okay, generally in all the clients, when they send the invoice, they have a particular requirement. They want a logo at the top. Okay, and they have their own requirement of creating the invoices. Okay, all that structure is handled in forms. Okay, not just for invoice but for delivery confirmations, for sales order confirmations, for purchase orders. Okay, all of those have different types of each client will have their own template. Okay, so to handle those templates you use forms in SAP. So those are again ABAP programs that will be used to create the forms. So these are all the different objects that you will be seeing, and all of these will be identified in the gap analysis in the blueprinting phase, and actually the development and the development will happen in the realization phase. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so if you want, we can take a break. Let's get back at 11:45. Yeah, you can just you can just view the sales in the sales order screen. Yes, yeah. You can even print a logo on your sales order, but form is generally used when you want to do an output. You want to say print or fax. Okay, you want a particular format when you're printing a sales order or an invoice. Okay, in that case you use a form for that template. Okay, let's get back at 11:45, and till now we saw a very high level overview of SAP. So now let's jump into SD and get an overview of SD, and from tomorrow actually we'll start the configuration tomorrow with the organizational structure. So tomorrow we'll start, but today we'll try to get a high level overview of SD and what we are going to accomplish in the next in the next session. So we'll have a brief discussion about that. Okay, so meanwhile if you have any questions, send me in the text. If not, let's get back at 11:45. హలో చెప్పండి. ఏంటి ఏం చేస్తున్నారు? అవునవును, జాక్సన్ వెల్. ఓకే 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 యా అసలు మిమ్మల్ని ఎందుకు షో చేస్తాడు ఆయన? మిమ్మల్ని ఎందుకు షూ చేస్తాడంటున్నా అసలు? ఓకే 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 బో అంటే ఎన్నాళ్ళ నుంచి ఉంటున్నాడండి? మరి 2 నెలలు సడన్ గా ఈరోజు బ్రీచ్ చేయడం అయిపోయింది మరి. అదే ఇంక వెళ్ళిపోవడానికి ఏదో రీజన్ చెప్తున్నాడేమో కదా. ఓకే ఓకే యా యా అదే యా యా అదే కదా. ఓకే ఓకే యా యా అదేలే యా యా అదే కదా. ఓకే 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 అదే ఏమండి ఇది క్లాస్ చెప్తున్నా నేను 11:45 మళ్ళీ చెప్పాలి. మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేయడం 1కి అయిపోద్ది. యా ఎస్టీ క్లాస్ చెప్తున్నా ఇప్పుడే అదే 10 minutes బ్రేక్ ఇచ్చాను. మళ్ళీ 11:45 స్టార్ట్ చేస్తున్నా. యా 1కి అయిపోతుంది. మీ ఇష్టం. ఇప్పుడు టెక్స్ట్ చేసేస్తాను మీకు 1కి కాల్ చేస్తా అయితే. యా ఓకే అండి. బాయ్. Hey everyone. Okay, so let's start with an overview of SAP SD. Okay, so as you can see in the picture here, the supply chain SD is part of a supply chain process. Excuse me. And it starts with receiving an order from a customer. Okay, let's take an example of say Walmart is a customer, and Walmart orders something from Kraft Foods or Kroger. Okay, Walmart is ordering from some cereals or something. Okay, let's assume we are Kraft Foods, and let's see how the business process is. So the first thing that happens is Kraft receives a purchase order from its customer Walmart. Okay, that's the first step. And since we are assuming that like we are Kraft Food, so this purchase order will be created as a sales order in the Kraft system. Okay, so that is the first step. You create a customer order. Again, the way how you receive this, the way how you receive this purchase order, it can be, they can I mean it's very outdated, so no longer people will call and give you, but that's possible. Okay, people can call in and place the order, but most of the time it will be a paper purchase order. Even paper purchase order also people won't use it much. A fax, email, EDI is very used it's very prevalent these days because it's automated. Okay, it just comes automatically and it creates a sales order in the system. There is no manual intervention. Okay, that's the one that I was talking about, the skill sets earlier, where the EDI. So that is where, as an EDI consultant along with SD, if you have that EDI skill set, you need to set up that all the automated things that are required for a purchase order to come into the system and create a sales order. Okay, that's what an SD EDI consultant will be doing. Okay, so these are some of the ways in which a sales order will be created. So once the sales order comes in, Kraft sends a sales order confirmation to Walmart. Okay, the vendor in this case Kraft Foods, he will send a sales order confirmation saying that, hey, I received your sales order and this is the expected date of delivery. Okay, it's kind of as soon as you buy something on Amazon, you will get an email from Amazon saying that we received your order. Okay, you won't have the expected. Sometimes you'll have the expected date range also. It's basically, it summarizes your order, and then once the sales order is done, a delivery is created in the Kraft system. Okay, then transportation arrangements are made and goods are shipped. Okay, once you create a sales order, then you create a delivery. You generally for logistics you use FedEx, DHL, UPS as your partners, and you ship the goods, and this is where the ownership of the goods is transferred from you to the customer. Okay, so once you create the delivery and everything, you send a delivery confirmation with the carrier details and expected time and date of delivery. See, again this is something that's similar when you buy on Amazon. So whenever Amazon actually ships it, you will get an email from Amazon saying that this is your tracking number, this is your carrier, we are shipping on UPS, and this is your you won't have the time, but you will have the date of delivery. Okay, that is a delivery confirmation. So again delivery confirmation, it can be done through fax, email, or EDI. Okay, so the delivery is done. Okay, the products reach the customer, then you have to get your money back. Okay, so you invoice the customer, invoice Walmart. So this is the last step. So now if you see, this is the order to cash process. Okay, right from creating the sales order in the system to receiving the cash. Okay, you invoice Walmart, and then the last step is Walmart remits the payment. So this is the order to cash flow. So if you see, this is the customer order, and picking and goods issue are part of delivery, which will come to it later. Then you bill the customer. Once you bill the customer, your accounts receivable postings are made into your accounts receivable, and the final payment is received from the customer. Okay, this is the gamut of the processes that we are going to talk. Again, this is also similar, so not sure if you are able to see this. Okay, from here it starts. First you create a quotation or a contract, and then you create a sales order, then you create delivery. Okay, then you will change the delivery if needed. Okay, then you create an invoice, you create a billing document, which is your invoice, and your printed invoice is generated. Again, the method of communication, it can be like as I told, it can be printed invoice, it can be invoice through fax, it can be invoiced through email, it can be invoiced through EDI. Okay, once the delivery is done, goods are physically delivered, and then billing document is created and invoices is sent out. And say if there are any mistakes in your billing, okay, you have to say you overcharged your customer, or you for some reason you undercharged the customer. Okay, then you use a process called credit or debit memos, which will come to this later. Okay, these are the different blocks in the SAP sales and distribution process. Okay, the master data here, it's common across all the applications, and this supports sales order, delivery and billing. Okay, customer master, material master and pricing records, and all these they span across the whole SD module. Okay, so as you can see, just it's a verbatim. So mechanisms to execute the business process in selling, shipping and billing of the products and services. And like as I have been telling earlier, it's tightly coupled data flow to other modules of SAP. Okay, it integrates at various points with various modules of SAP. As in, when you create a sales order, it integrates with MM and PP. Okay, once you create a delivery, it integrates with MM. Once you create an invoice, it integrates with SAP F5 for all the accounting stuff. Okay, that how the postings are made, everything we'll be doing a deep dive. So then we'll be discussing each of those. Okay, again, these are the different components: master data, sales, shipping. Okay, shipping and transportation are nothing but logistics execution is the delivery process. Okay, in your job requirements, you will be seeing SAP LE consultant, logistics execution. Okay, that's nothing but all the processes that happen at the delivery level. That is called logistics execution. Okay, and the master data. Coming to the master data, in tomorrow's session actually we are going to go do a deep dive of the master data, but today I'm just giving you a very high level overview of master data. Okay, master data is nothing but it's data that doesn't change often. Okay, master data remains fairly static in a company. Okay, examples are customer master, material master, vendor master, okay, your pricing records. All these are, again, there are a lot of other things like output records, but let's leave those for now. Okay, let's talk about the customer master, material master, vendor master. So customer master is an SD object and material master is MM. Vendor master is also an MM object, and this I would say is SD, MM, FI, and pricing is a completely SD object. Okay, so the master data, the data that you maintain in the master data is later used in all the different applications in the SD module. So as you can see in the picture here, the master data is at a high level. So the data that you define here, it's used in all the different documents. In sales order, you're going to use the master data. In delivery, you're going to use the master data. In invoice, you're going to use the master data. Okay, so the data that you maintain here, it's copied into different documents. Okay, so that's why if you see here, the best practice generally is to store as much data as possible in the master data. So a good master data is critical. A very good master data makes the life of an end user easy. Okay, if the master data is perfect, then the end user will be able to just create sales orders very quickly. She doesn't need to enter all the information that will be needed. Okay, if most of the information will be copied from the master data, which is again a customer master or a material master, into a sales order, and she doesn't have to enter more stuff manually. Okay, it will be easy on her. So obviously, as a consultant, always your end goal is to make your end users happy. Okay, so that's one thing that you always have to remember. The users and the client managers should always be happy. So one thing is like maintaining or recommending processes for a good master data. Okay, so again in this overview, now what I'm in the next few slides, I'm just going to give a very 10,000 feet overview of the sales and distribution. Okay, in the sales process, what you do is you create a sales order. Okay, so this is where you create a sales order. In the sales order, you enter the customer to whom the sale is going to be made. Okay, the materials that you are going to sell. Okay, and again, this is not something that's related to SAP. It's a very generic term, sales order. Okay, when you want to buy something, say you are a company and you want to sell something. So you in that document you give a detail of to whom you want to sell it, and then what are the materials and what is the quantity and what is the price at which you want to sell. So all those details comprise of a sales order. Okay, the pricing also happens in the sales order, and one of the if I have to pick the most important concept in SD, that will be pricing. Okay, again you'll see a lot of job requirements with SD pricing, because pricing is the most critical area in SAP sales and distribution. Not just SD, but even if you learn SD pricing, You will also learn a lot of stuff in also, because pricing is also it uses the same concepts that SD uses. Okay, and the next thing is the its integration again. So whenever you create a sales order, okay, the system will give you a proposed customer expected delivery date. So it will give a customer expected delivery date. So when it gives a customer expected delivery date, it has to check the material management, right? It has to check the current stock that's available. It cannot come up with a blind date. Okay, there is a lot of algorithms that run behind that SAP. Those are again standard SAP algorithms. Those run behind that calculate the expected delivery date. So that's where it integrates with to see what is the stock that's available and what is the date on which we can confirm the current stock in the sales order. Okay, so at that point it integrates with material management. Okay, so some examples of sales documents are inquiries or quotations. Okay, inquiry or quotation is again a generic term. Okay, if you want to, even before buying, if you want to get a quote, okay, you send an inquiry to a company X. Hey, I want to buy 100 pieces of this. What is going to be the price? Okay, then the vendor will reply back with a quotation saying, hey, this is the price that you're looking at for this quantity, and the quote is valid till end of next month or end of the year. Okay, so that is a quotation. Inquiry or quotation are not, they are not legally bind documents, and sales order is legally bound. So once the customer sends you a purchase order, it's a legal document. So you create a sales order. So that's an order document. Okay, then if you want to do returns is an order document. Contracts, we are going to see each of these individually, but I just listed out. Contracts is nothing but when you want to buy in bulk. Okay, you have an upfront contract. I'll be buying 100,000 each of this at this price. Okay, that's a contract. You're getting a special pricing. Rush order and cash sale. Rush order is nothing but in some cases the customers, they'll come to the warehouse or the plant and they pay cash immediately. Rush is an immediate order. Okay, the name, it's a self-explanatory. And credit memos and debit memos are nothing but these are generally used for invoice corrections. Okay, if you overcharged or undercharged your customer, so then you will be using this credit and debit memos. And service orders are nothing but think of it as a like Best Buy has Geek Squad. Okay, they don't have any physical delivery, they are service based. Okay, say Best Buy comes and they fix or they install home theater in your house. Okay, there's no physical delivery that happening, it's a service based product. So in those cases you use a different types of sales orders. Those are called service orders. So these are all the different types of sales documents. Okay, any questions still here? Okay, I'll move on. Okay, and then delivery. Once your sales order is done, the delivery process starts. Okay, the main function in the delivery is picking and packing. Okay, the delivery generally sales order, it happens in a corporate office or any sales office. Okay, the delivery process happens at a warehouse or a plant. Okay, where the physical delivery happens. The first thing that happens in a delivery is a picking and packing. Generally, if you think of warehouses, I don't know if you got a chance or if you even looked up, it's amazing how big they are. Okay, I happened to see some video of Amazon's warehouse, so it's almost like a mini town. Okay, they are like really big. So if you use SAP warehouse management or any other SAP tools, sorry, not just SAP tools, any other warehouse tools, they basically take you to the actual place where the bin and the aisle to where the products are located. Okay, because say you send this delivery to the plant. Okay, at the plant floor, a guy who is working on it, he saw this delivery and he wants to pick the goods and give it to the FedEx guy. Okay, at the loading point that is outside the plant, he wants to pick these goods and he has to give that FedEx. He wants to give these goods to the FedEx guy. So in this very big warehouse, you got to know where you have to go and look for the goods. Okay, so that's where, if you are using, say, warehouse management, so that's where warehouse management comes into picture. Okay, in warehouse management, you can control the products, you can exactly pinpoint the products up to a aisle and bin location. Okay, at aisle A and bin 31, so you will find this product, and this is the quantity that's left there. Okay, so that plant floor guy, he will go there, pick up those goods, and he will enter in. He will tell to the SAP system that I picked these goods. Okay, then similarly, if you want to do any packing, you can also do packing, and then you hand over the ownership to the FedEx guy. Okay, that's what happens in picking and packing. And again, SAP has inbuilt transportation management to actually pick up the best routes. Okay, to pick up the best routes either through speed or cost. Okay, different parameters. And generally, I have seen clients using different softwares for transportation management. UPS has its own transportation management software. Okay, and similarly, another process is return deliveries. When you return something, so there will be a different process for returns. Okay, so your delivery is done, the products, it reached the customer, and so now you have to get your money back. Okay, that's what you do in invoice. So invoice can be generated or automatically or manually, but in the most of the client places, you see it will be done automatically. No one is going to sit every day in front of the system and create invoices. Okay, there are standard SAP programs that automatically create invoices. So once the delivery is done, SAP, a batch job runs or a batch program runs, and it creates the deliveries for all, creates invoices for all the deliveries that were made. Okay, this is completely integrated with SAP FI, and invoice also has a standard functionality to handle returns. Okay, so again the same thing, sales, quotation, sales order, shipping, delivery note, picking, and post goods. Post goods issue is the process. It's an important process in the shipping, where the actual, once the PGI is done, the ownership of the goods is transferred from your company. Okay, and we'll come to this later in detail, but again, this is also an important question about PGI. Yeah, Venkat, go ahead with your question, please. No. Warehouse management is a completely different module, so you don't need to learn anything about it. So transportation management also you don't need to learn about it. We will be just learning about routes, route determination, and those concepts. So that's kind of I would say it's part of SD, and it's part of it comes into SD. So that's why we will be talking about route management and how routes are determined. It's integrated with SD. So that's why I'll just give an overview of how the route determination happens. Okay, at least you know where to look up. If in a project, if someone talks about routes, you at least know where to go and look it up. Okay, if anyone of you have other questions, let me know. Okay, so in the sales, in inquiry and quotation, so these are the pre-processes, and again there is no postings that are made to FI at this point. So generally the process is okay, this is the end-to-end SD process. First you have an inquiry, then you have a quotation, then you have a sales order, then you have a delivery, and then you have an invoice. So this is the end-to-end SD process. So again, pre-sales order you can have contracts, you can have scheduling agreements, and a lot of other stuff. So we'll be discussing about all these when we actually so we'll be doing at least like 1 or 2 sessions on the sales order documents. Okay, sales documents. So then we'll cover all these, and when we cover delivery and invoice, we'll be covering all the configuration that we'll be doing, and in the sales order how we'll be handling returns. Okay, all that stuff. Now for now I'm just trying to introduce the terms. Nothing again, these are nothing specific to SAP. These are this will happen in any system. Okay, and that's one thing about a good thing about SAP is you are not learning the system. Okay, you are learning a business, and even say worst comes to worst, and after 10 years SAP is not there. I don't see that happening, but just for an argument's sake. Okay, so even if because you are not just learning about SAP, but you are learning the client's business process. Okay, there should be some system that the client will be using. They will again not go into a paper and pen model, right? So they will be using other system. So if you learn SAP and the business, so it will be easier if you want to seamlessly move into other softwares or anything. Okay, so again, inquiry and quotation is they support the pre-sale process. Okay, they are time sensitive, meaning that say you offer a quotation to your customer. Okay, you will tell that the quotation is valid up to this date. That quotation is not generally, that quotation will not be valid till infinite, right? So you say, hey, this price is valid till end of next month, or June 31st, so June 30th, something like that. Okay, they are time sensitive. Okay, automatic pricing is nothing but standard SAP pricing happens in both inquiry and quotation. It's not integrated with FI at this point. Okay, because these are not actual documents. A sales order is a real document. These are just pre-sale documents. Okay, and these can be created with reference to a subsequent document, meaning that once you create an inquiry, if you want to create a quotation, you can create a quotation with reference to an inquiry. Okay, say for example an inquiry, it's a very big inquiry and it has lot of materials in it. Okay, so again when you create a quotation, you don't want to manually enter everything that you entered in the inquiry, right? So what SAP gives you is you can create with reference. Okay, when you create with reference, it will copy all the data from the preceding document into the subsequent document. Okay, similarly when I create a sales order with reference to a quotation, so it will copy all the data from the quotation into a sales order. Okay, that's called create with reference. And again we are going to see how the actual create with reference is done, or how the copying and everything is done. Okay, that will be a point in the later class. Okay, so once your inquiry and quotation is done, then you have the sales order. Okay, sales order is a critical part of customer order management. And again I'm just trying to give you a different job names that clients will be using. So some clients will say SAP customer order management expert. Okay, again customer order management is nothing your regular SD order skills. Okay, again this can be created with reference to an inquiry or a quotation, and like as I told earlier, sales order copies the data from customer, material and pricing data. Okay, you don't need to enter every key in everything for every sales order. Okay, if you maintain the master data, everything will be copied from master data, or not everything, but at least most of the data will be copied from the master data. Okay, once you actually create a sales order, there are a lot of background processes that happen. Okay, we'll be discussing each of these again in later classes, but some of the processes that happen are the system will check if there is current stock available. That is called as availability check. It will check if the stock is available to satisfy the purchase to satisfy the sales order from the customer. Okay, similarly pricing happens automatically. Okay, again credit check happens. Credit check is nothing but if the customer has a lot of juice with us, so then we'll do a credit check, kind of how credit check happens. Okay, in all life. So whenever someone is going to issue a credit card, they'll do a credit check and see, if you have a lot of juice that you're already and are you a risky customer, or safe customer, those type of things. And again delivery scheduling, shipping and route determination. Okay, route determination also happens at the sales order, and again you can change that if needed at the delivery. Okay, and again delivery happens it initiates the shipping process, and like as I told, picking and packing happens in the delivery, and it's integrated with warehouse management, and it's also called as logistics execution, the delivery process. Okay, and the next thing is the invoice. You generate a customer invoice after delivery is done, and this integrates with FI, and it will update some GL accounts. GL accounts are FI related, so again we'll be seeing how those GL accounts will be configured and all that stuff later. Okay, so this is what I have for today. So today what we try to do is we try to get a very high level overview of SAP in general and sales and distribution in particular. Okay, and one other thing that I want to talk about is the SAP landscape that you will be seeing. And again, this is similar to I think any software or any other system. So generally you will have a sandbox where you can just play around. Okay, then you will have a development client, then you have integration client or quality integration, then you will have something like a quality or user acceptance testing client, and then you have a production client. Okay, this is the general SAP landscape. And okay, let me log off. So when you try to log in here, SAP it will ask for a client. Okay, so client is nothing but it's a kind of a subdivision in the same environment. So dev will generally have different clients. Okay, for example, you will have a client 100 that will be used for configuration, only for configuration. No data. Okay, similarly you will have another client for 200. I'm just giving some random numbers, but once you go into project you can ask what are the different clients that you use. Okay, this will be generally used for development, and again you might have another, say, 800. This will also not have any data. And then you will have another client, say, for unit testing, and this will have data. So when you log in, so you can 100 here. Obviously here I don't have 100, so you can just log in with your ID and password. Okay, this is kind of a client, is kind of a subdivision in a particular instance. And this configuration client is generally called as a golden client. Okay, golden client is nothing but the client in which you do configuration. This doesn't have any data, and all the configuration as a functional consultant you will be doing it here, and then you do it here, and then you have to move it to the unit testing client. Okay, how you move it and everything, we'll come to it later. So I'll just write the transaction code for now, but we'll come to it later. Okay, similarly, integration testing also, integration environment can also have different clients. Okay, but production will also, at least all the places that I saw, production will only have a single client. Okay, say 500 or something, or even it can have the same number, it doesn't matter. Okay, and quality can have multiple, integration will have multiple, and all the changes that you do it will start here. Okay, all the changes that you do will be recorded in transports. Okay, we'll see transports tomorrow in detail, and again, you as a functional consultant will be responsible for moving the transports from dev to integration to quality and production. When the basis guy will actually make the move, he will actually do the transport, but you will have to provide them the list and the correct sequence in which you made the changes. Okay, that will be your responsibility. So any questions? Okay, so tomorrow we'll be discussing the organizational structure in SAP. Okay, before that I'll do easy access menu, easy access, and SPRO menus, and organizational structure, and then if time permits we'll do master data, customer and material master. Okay, so from tomorrow actually we'll learn about how to configure different organizational structures in SAP. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, and meanwhile if you have any questions, reach out to me, and I highly recommend practicing after after every weekend. You'll have till Friday of the next week, so I recommend practicing all the topics like every week, because after 2-3 weeks, if you generally most of the in some batches I have experience where first 2-3 weeks people will not practice, and then you'll suddenly feel overwhelmed with all the topics, and you will not be able to follow also. After some time you will be completely lost. So that's why I recommend practicing right from the beginning. Okay, even if you don't get everything correct, just play around on the system so that at least you can understand the navigation. Okay, you'll feel yourself familiar. Okay, you'll just go to the menus and see what is there. Okay, and you can Google and look up any documents. I'll also give you a lot of documents, and I'll give you screenshots of the configuration and everything. Okay, so any questions so far, or if you have any questions on the ones that we discussed so far, or any questions on any questions like questions about SAP careers in general, or SD, or if you're looking at some other module, or if any sort of questions, you can reach out to me at my email learnsd. Okay, I'm just giving you my contact. Okay, if not, I'll hang out in the chat for some time. If not, I'll see you 10 AM tomorrow. Okay, have a nice weekend, everyone. Thanks very much for your time.